Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. We just finished watching AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, put on the Forbidden Door, finally, after months and months of excitement and speculation and so on and so forth. The show's done. It's in the can. It's as they say over in Swiss Italy, finito. I don't know, probably not. I figured I'd go along with the theme tonight, that there's a Swiss Italian dude now that's returned to pro wrestling. I got a lot of people like, we're going to talk about that right here tonight on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. I don't know. I guess I feel kind of violent after all that blood. Gets me, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, but no, this is not true. I know what I'm doing. I have my notes right here. I have everything ready. I am prepared. We're going to talk about all of this. I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching this live on YouTube, right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. And you know what makes this stream extra special? This is officially the last stream I'm ever going to do from this location, this would be the second iteration of WarrenHayes headquarters, and that is going to be a third or later this week. So there's a parting is such sweet sorrow kind of deal, if you want. So I'm doing this live right here. Nice stream. Let's just have a good time. We'll enjoy ourselves as we recap Forbidden Door here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. So, it's not going to be as produced as, the usual podcasts and whatnot. It's a live stream. I'm going to keep the live stream up. I'm not going to enlist this one so that we can all bask in my comments moving forward. But we can also bask in the presence of great people joining live here at this ungodly hour of the morning or night or morning, depending on where you are, such as AK Germany 96, member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Nice to see you, who's joining us from all the way over in Germany. So it's like what, 5 a.m. or something, 6 a.m., something to that effect, right? I'm not checking the time. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm pretty sure that's what the time is right now. But thank you for being here, and we've also got Kristen Ashley, the First Lady of the MrWarrenHayes Show, who is joining us tonight as well. Very good to see you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for popping in. Thank you. And if you're listening right now, well, you know what to do. You can always leave a like. That stuff always helps. Yeah, you see, it is 6 a.m. in Germany. That was pretty, it's like 5, 6. I got my time zones down. Ask me what time it is in Bermuda. Don't, because I don't know. So don't ask me. But thank you, everyone, for being here. If you a like is always super appreciated. That would be fantastic, and muchas gracias and all of that. And if you're watching this on demand as well here on youtube.com, well, the like still applies. It's still very cool, and I appreciate it. Plus, leave a comment if you're watching this on demand. I'd like to know what your favorite match of the evening was, and let's chat about it. I'd be really, really interested in seeing how you felt about the proceedings, and if you're here live as well, I want to hear what you thought about the matches. But we'll go down the line here. We'll go one by one. We'll chit chat as we go along, and we're gonna start with the pre-show. We got 4 matches on this pre-show. They decided to add Nick Comoroto and Lance Archer on top of everything. And was this set on Rampage? I'm going to be fully transparent. I was not able to catch Rampage from last Friday, so I don't know. I don't know if that was announced on Rampage or if it's just something that they threw in. I knew they added Swerve and Keith Lee versus Suzuki-gun. That I knew. And I was like, oh, that's gonna rock. And it did. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. I don't have, I'm not going to spend too much time on the pre-show either. Because if we're being honest, it's not the pre-show's not the main event. This is not what's bringing you to the ball here. QT Marshall and Aaron Solo started this off against Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. And I mean, I kind of laughed when I saw this. When I saw it, it's like, of course, we're just throwing matches together at this point, right? It's like Gato's like, I need to put more of my guys on your show, Tony. And Tony's like, all right. I mean, it was fine. It was a fine pre-show match. If anything, it helped us. It gave a little more opportunity for Aaron Solo to shine, who is, criminally underappreciated in AEW. I don't know if this is what he was expecting when he jumped on, but criminally underappreciated. So I'm fully. I was happy to see that he was able to stretch his limbs a little bit here, and Goto, Yoshihashi, they played all the hits. Everything was fine. It was a fine match. It was all right. Yeah, and I don't think there is another lower mid-carder in the entire wrestling business that generates as much heat as QT Marshall does, because I think QT Marshall he's just one of those guys that just gets all the heat going. Anyway, it was fine. And we got Lance Archer defeating Nick Comoroto. Kind of a, what you'd expect from a Haas type fight here. Cannonball, of course, by Lance Archer off the apron, and to get things started. Comoroto tries to press Lance Archer, and he actually does. He lifts him above his head, which is a feat in and about itself. But Lance Archer is able to wriggle out of it. There's a lot of big Haas moves, a power slam by Comoroto, but the Blackout gets the win. That's fine. A big, strong fight here. It was interesting. It was interesting that Lance Archer was featured as part of the Suzuki-gun angle. That was a little interesting, but yet wasn't part of any big time matches. He found his spot on the show, don't get me wrong, but it was still very interesting to me on that level. Hey, I want to say hello to My Name Is Not Earl, who's hanging out with us 5 a.m. Are you somewhere in the UK, Earl? That would be my guess. If we continue my deep knowledge of time zones, that's where I'd say you are then. The UK. We'll see if I'm right. And Motown Slim. Look at you, man. Nice to see you. God, what a good name. I still can't believe it. Oh, you're in Scotland. Oy. So, okay. now we're getting into Earl. We're getting into a little more political territories here. We're talking about Scotland and the UK. Nice to see you, and welcome, of course. That'll be fantastic. It'll be at Little Caesars on Wednesday. So you're gonna enjoy pizza, or is that the name of the arena where the where the Dynamite's taking place? Little Caesars Arena, the Little Caesars something. I guess. Hopefully you're not just. Hopefully Motown Slim. Hopefully you didn't jump in just to tell me, yeah, I'm gonna be at a pizza place on Wednesday. I'm like, this dude likes his pizza. Like he prepares days in advance. No, I was assuming it was the name of the Dynamite Arena. Look, you're going in for a great show, man. You're gonna get the blood and guts. You're gonna get Claudio. Are you kidding me? Let's keep going here on this pre-show where we had Swerve and Keith Lee defeat the Suzuki-gun team of Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. I love Kanemaru and El Desperado. They are scumbags. and I love it. And they wrestled like scumbags in this match. A sufficient amount of cohesion between Swerve and Keith Lee. I was assuming they would press harder on the this mistrust that is brewing between the two, but there were little subtle hints. You know, instead of pressing really hard, they decided to go very subtly, and I appreciated that. I especially appreciated the work of Desperado and Kanemaru in this match facing Keith Lee, where they decided to just rely on their double team skills, which made a lot of sense. I mean, these guys have been a tag team for multiple times. They've been multiple times IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships, even though for me the titles are meaningless. It is meaningful when you start talking about a combination that have been together for such a long time. There's look, all sorts of great spots. I loved the spot where Kanemaru gets kicked out of the ring, and he hangs on to the bottom rope with his toes so that Swerve can do the double stomp onto his chest, like right through the floor. What can you believe? Like, can you imagine? Just think about it for a second. The amount of control that you have to be able to pull that move off by Desperado. It was like, okay, we're gonna set like that move worked because Despy was just on top of it. Just a fantastic stuff. Kanemaru tries to use the whiskey mist on Keith Lee, but it doesn't work. Lee gets the big slam on Uncle Yoshinobu. Personally, this was my favorite match of the pre-show. I thought it was very good. I thought it made a lot of sense. Thought the psychology was there. Everything connected in this match. And like I said, there were these little looks, these little teases that Keith Lee and Swerve aren't exactly still on speaking terms. Well, no, they're on speaking terms. That there's a little lack of trust. There's still a little bit of mistrust. And after we get Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks, who appear from a booth up in the United Center, they cut a promo on Lee and Hobbs. I am glad that feud is not over, that they're still going to use it maybe as some kind of impetus to split Lee and Swerve up, because it was for the time that it ran before late winter, early spring, I thought it was one of the best things on AEW. That entire feud between the four of them, I thought it was fantastic. I hope it keeps going. The pre-show wrapped up with the Ass Boys and Max Castor versus a bunch of guys from the New Japan Dojo. Look, and graduates and so on and so forth. New Japan Strong. Danhausen plays a tune for the Ass Boys, courtesy of 2 Minutes to Midnight, and they run. The Ass Boys don't like it, and they run after Danhausen, and they don't come back for the rest of the match. Colton and Austin, right? And they don't come back for the rest of the match. Now, I know there's a lot of people who really, really like this acclaimed Gun Club stuff. I know a lot of people are really into it, and they say, man, this is the best thing. But it doesn't work for me. It doesn't connect for me, right? And it doesn't connect at all for me, right? And I can understand why people are like, I'll enjoy this. This is fun. But it does. And I'll tell you why. And anyone watches the show, the MrWarrenHayes show on the reg, or listens or whatever, I know that the main reason why I don't like it is because it's a little too sports entertaining for my palate, right? It's a little something, you know. Now, if a wrestler who is not on the show suddenly takes over the Titantron, or what do we call the Titantron in AEW? The Tonytron? I'm gonna call it the Tonytron. If a wrestler takes over the Tonytron to play music that he's composed to annoy his, the people that he's in a feud with, and then those guys run backstage to try and find him for the entirety of the match, that's sports entertainment to me. Like, that makes no sense. WWE does that kind of shit, and I go, ugh. It doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense here. So, and you see, AK Germany saw it. he says, you were right. Austin Gunn is prime for WWE. He gets easily distracted by music. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. But then again, like, I get it's fine, right? It's fine. Look, there's a reason why I prefer to watch AEW over WWE, and there are things that I prefer on AEW, things that I think connect better than others, and I think this whole thing it doesn't connect to the reasons why I want to watch AEW in the first place. So, look, this was it turned out to be a 2-on-4 where the New Japan guys got beat up because Billy Gunn gets treated like Brock Lesnar in AEW, and he got the win for his team. Or Max Caster did. Well, I mean, Billy Gunn did a lot of the massive offense. So that was the pre-show. I thought it was an efficient, a good pre-show. Let's get on to the main card. First match of the night, we had the Jericho Appreciation Society, made up of Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, alongside Minoru Suzuki, defeating Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shooter Shota Umino. I liked this was a fantastic, absolutely fantastic opener. Like, I don't think you could get no, I mean, it is possible, right? But this was such an exciting, on fire opening match. Just everything connected, and they took some major gambles. They took a lot of risks here in this match by placing Shota in such a position where he would be so crucial to getting a victory here. Like, he was center in a lot of spots, in a lot of comeback spots, against the heels, against Chris Jericho specifically. And to me, that was a gamble. Because if anything, look, you guys know there was so much talk going into the Forbidden Door in regards to, whether or not people knew who these Japanese guys were. Okada comes out. Who the fuck is Kazuchika Okada? Well, when you see the reactions again, who the fuck is Hiroshi Tanahashi? No one knows who these guys. You have to explain to us who they are, right? And to a degree, I was like, when I saw Shota in there, I was like, do people really know do they understand his connection to Jon Moxley? Do they get it, right? And they did the little history tie-in from when Chris Jericho hit the walls on him when he was still a young lion, and I was like, well, okay, maybe, But the audience knew who the kid was, and they were into it, and they were 100% they 100% backed him up on this. 100% backed him up. Hey, Kiwi Rob, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. One of the early early big pops in this match was when Minoru Suzuki got tagged in to fight Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston immediately put down the straps. Then okay, this is business now. And they really went at each other. And Minoru Suzuki decided that he was going to nose sell Eddie's chops on top of that, which was great. Suzuki does the over-the-top rope Jijikatami, and the heels start to work. Kingston's arm. Eddie catches Sammy into an exploder. Shota gets a good hot take, which is what I was talking about, right? A fisherman's buster into a bridge as well. Sammy hits a shooting star press to the floor. The diving elbow by Eddie. There's a standing Spanish fly by Guevara as well. Backdrop drivers by Kingston, and a stretch plum. Spinning back fist by Kingston. A code breaker by Chris Jericho. There's an avalanche power slam by Shota, which I popped huge for. Shota eats a bat to the back, courtesy of Tai Kanji, who was there. He avoids the Judas effect, hits a tornado DDT, and a brainbuster covers Jericho, who kicks out. We have a whole bunch of near falls and shenanigans that follow, but the Judas effect gets the win. Fantastic stuff. Like, this was a very, very electric, opening match for the show. Just great stuff. And the audience was super into it. Yeah, look, the audience was hot all evening. This niche audience of very specific AEW New Japan wrestling fans. They were really into it. FTR defeated Roppongi Vice and the United Empire team of Great Okan and Jeff Cobb to become the new IWGP Tag Team Champions. Ooh. I mean, this is fantastic stuff, right? For FTR. Like, this is literally the year of FTR. There's no way to go about it. And this all makes sense. This all makes sense because Dax Harwood loves pro wrestling. I challenge anyone to love anything as much as Dax Harwood loves pro wrestling. It's just nuts. It's just really crazy nuts to me. Just how much he loves it, and he talks about his the legacy, right? The legacy that FTR wants to leave behind. It's something that's very important to him. So, basically, what we end up doing then is, so what we end up seeing actually in this circumstance here is we start getting this establishment this year of FTR picking up all these titles. And I think inevitably the main prize, the AEW tag titles, are going to be, that's where we're heading. We're heading towards Young Bucks, FTR. What's it going to be now? 3? I think that's where we're going. And that's, I think that's the path. I think ultimately he wants to pick up that win. They want to pick up that win. I'm talking about Dax, but Cash is in on this too, I thought this was a pretty good match. Look, there's a lot of multi-person matches, a lot of triple threats, 4 ways, so on and so forth. And I'm not a super fan of them, right? For multiple reasons. And I think this match would have benefited a lot more from having one less team, but that's just me. I still think this match was very good. Early on, there's Dax, who fakes an injury to his shoulder and then like walks out and hits the bricks and he gets checked over by the ringside staff, and he's like, no, okay, I'll hit the bricks and whatever. But he eventually does come back. I saw a lot of people going, oh my God, it's like, oh no, he's injured. The injury bug keeps going. I'm like, relax. Like they put way too much camera time on it for it to come across as a legitimate injury. So Jeff Cobb, Great O'Khan, they basically work the heel style, slowing everything down, building for the big babyface comeback, which would be initiated by Dax Harwood when he does come back. And from that point on, I feel like the match just hits another gear. Double superplex by Dax and Trent, followed by a big splash by Cash. That ruled. There was a spike pile driver by Rocky Romero and Cash Wheeler. Standing shooting star press by Jeff Cobb. Double team German by the United Empire on Trent. And followed by a tope by Rocky Romero. There's a strong zero by Roppongi Vice, where I'm convinced I was like, okay, surprised, it's done. But no, Cash breaks up the cover, and we get some in and out action between Dax Harwood and Rocky Romero. Big rig out of nowhere. FTR get the win, and Rocky Romero was indeed there to take the pin. I enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was quite good. Quite good. Hope everyone is enjoying this so far. Leave a like if you feel like it. Next, we have the All Atlantic title, which has achieved its first champion, none other than Pac himself, who defeated Malachi Black, Clark Connors, and Miro in a match where Miro just kicked the shit out of everyone, didn't he? He was all over. He was all over this entire match. And to a point where you sort of, well, maybe he's not going to win, because he was just nailing so much offense, right? So there you go. So that's essentially the outcome of the match here. Miro, like I said, Miro was all over the place. Clark Connors here, of course, obviously he's the odd man out, right? He's obviously the odd man out because of the Tomohiro Ishii injury. This was a big spot for him. I thought he did pretty good. I thought it was really cool that the guys gave him the table spot. That he got the table spot where he to spear Miro through the table, which was fantastic. Because he was nervous. He was a little anxious about it. This is what we got. It was fantastic. Like, it was a pretty good match. I don't want to go as far as fantastic. I thought this was a pretty good match. I think there were some pacing issues. I feel there were maybe some communication issues at some point, or I wasn't quite sure. It felt like people were not quite on top of their cues. But this match also had a second gear at some point towards the end, which really started to pick everything up when Pac eats a match kick, and then Miro locks in the game over on Pac. Pac struggles to get to the ropes, right? But Miro, he's not doing the one where he leans completely back. Like, he's not going completely, pulling back completely on the game over, which usually seals it, right? So, Pac reaches the ropes, but Miro drags him back, locks it back into the middle. We've got Clark Connors, who runs in to break it up. Flying armbar attempt by Malachi Black, but it's Pac that lands the brutalizer on Clark Connors for the win. And he seemed really excited to win the title. He seemed legitimately excited. And, you know, from what we know about Pac, and formerly known as Neville, right? I think if he was disinterested, or, you know, not necessarily stoked about getting belted, I think he wouldn't have shown the emotion he did. I thought his post-match reaction was fantastic. So now this is where we're at, right? Pac gets the belt. Now the question is, how is this going to be defended? Like, what are we doing? It has to be a traveling belt, right? It has to go places at this point, right? Doesn't it? It has to travel travel over the Atlantic, right? Because of course you can bring a bunch of people onto AEW, but I think, you know, the idea of it being in other promotions, being defended in other promotions, being won in other promotions, I think that's all great. But congratulations to Pac, and yeah, like AK Germany said, like, I wasn't expecting him to win either. I thought Miro was coming out with it, and but Pac is a great choice, and I think it was well overdue for him to do it. Next, we had the Dudes with Attitudes. Darby Allin, Sting, and Shingo Takagi taking on the Bullet Club group of El Fantasmo and the Young Bucks. You know what? This was just plain old fun. This was fun. It was a palate cleanser on one end. It was a mood. It was just to change the mood. Not a serious match by any stretch of the imagination. This was one where, you know, I smiled because you had the Young Bucks come back out with their vests, with their Ring of Honor and Bullet Club patches still on it, and they came out it started with their music, but we ended up getting the classic boom, boom, boom. You know, Bullet Club music, you know that one that goes boom, 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 which I thought was fun. So it was basically El Fantasmo and the Young Bucks just being, you know, dickheads. And it was actually, I thought it was very refreshing. I thought it was very refreshing to see the Young Bucks go fully back into their full-on dickishness. I thought that was great. And then on top of that, well, you have El Fantasmo being the most El Fantasmo he could be in that match. Fantastically enough, at the same time, I realized that there was a bunch of people who were watching him for the first time. This was a huge audience that was there for that had eyeballs on this match, and he came to realize how much of a special talent he is, which we've been talking about here on the MrWarrenHayes show for a while now. And I think that he put his best foot forward, doing some great moves like, you know, Thunder Kiss and the rope walk Acai moonsault to the floor, right? Just, which is signature moves for him, but also very impressive. On top of it all, he does the back rakes, and he does the whole build to the back rakes, and we actually get a back rake party because the Young Bucks get into it, so they put that over. Then we have a lot of nipple play in this match, which is something that you don't see very much, right? You know, there's a lot of you know, the El Fantasmo did a purple nurple on Sting, and Sting completely no-sold it. And Sting also no-sold a double super kick from the Bucks. That was fun. But Sting avoids a BTE trigger. And I also really liked Shingo and Sting, at first doing stuff together. I have to point that out as well. Doing some double team action at first, and then doing the fist bump, which I contend Sting is officially now a part of LIJ. Well, Darby too, because they did it at the end. I think these are all people that Los Ingobernables de América, right? I mean, look, if Liv Morgan can be in Bullet Club, if Liv Morgan can be in Bullet Club, I think Sting and Darby can absolutely be in LIJ. Or at LIA in this case. Yes, she is. She was too sweeted by the original founding leader and another leader, two leaders of Bullet Club, too sweeted Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is in Bullet Club, and I will fight anyone. I don't know why it's so important to me. There's no reason for it to be that important to me. Yeah, I thought this was a nice little fun distraction match, sort of, to reset. Okay, then. Liv Morgan is in Bullet Club. I think, but that's it. I think this was a nice distraction to move away from the more serious matches, just to give everyone a nice refresher. I enjoyed it, and Shingo, Sting, and Darby defeated the Bullet Club boys here on this one. ELP took the pin. No big surprise there. Thunder Rosa defeated Toni Storm to retain the AEW Women's World Title. And I thought this was a very fun match. Thought it was a strong match. Something happened in the end. It's going to be it's the story of of a couple of main singles titles here tonight. But something happened in the end of this match. But before, look, I mean, I thought this was there was some good striking between them, them both, to a point where things started getting very heated. Where they start slapping each other, and you're like, oh, okay. The respect that they had shown each other out the gate just wasn't there anymore. There was a jumping stunner by Thunder Rosa, double knees and a pair of drop kicks as well. Hits the Northern Lights suplex and a double stomp. Toni Storm tries to do the tornado DDT off the apron, but it's blocked. So Thunder Rosa hits a suplex on the floor. Storm Germans Rosa on the apron and tornado DDTs her to the floor. She does that incredible hip attack that always seems to be this close to beheading her opponents. It's just wild, the whiplash on it. Thunder Rosa hits the Thunder Fire Driver, of which Toni Storm kicks out of, but then hits the Final Reckoning for the win. And the finish just came a little out of nowhere. And I don't know exactly why, and it was at a point where, especially after when Toni Storm kicks out of the Thunder Fire Driver, I was like, all right, let's go. We're bringing this into another gear, right? We're going into maybe another 3 minutes, another 4 minutes. Let's go, it just sort of all collapsed. We get the Final Reckoning, as Excalibur mentioned. It's an old it's a previous finisher out of the arsenal of Dustin Rhodes, so that's how she got the win. Oh, and yeah, we did. You're right, AK Germany. I did not mention how fantastic Thunder Rosa's gear, her entrance attire was just absolutely amazing. Right down to the face paint, which had so much detail to it, more than usual, like actual electric lightning bolts that were crossing her face. Just fantastic stuff. She comes out, I'm like, wow. I mean, no one can deny that she's the champ. She just absolutely looks like a champ. Great stuff. Great stuff. Then we got Will Ospreay, who defeated Orange Cassidy to retain the IWGP United States Championship. Belt. Title. Belts hold up pants. Don't forget. You know what? I thought this was a very, 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 very good match. I thought it was a very good match. But I felt like, I'll tell you, and maybe it's because I put such high expectations on a Will Ospreay match at this point. Maybe it's because I put so much high expectations on a Will Ospreay match at this point that when things don't exactly like blow me away, maybe I feel cheated a little bit. But this was anything but a bad match. It wasn't even a fine match. I thought it was a very good match, which I was excited to like more, I guess. And I think it has to do with just around the structure of it, where I feel Will spent a lot of time getting a lot of heel heat, trying to generate the heel heat from the audience, where I think it was a given that he was absolutely, despicable and despised, and really didn't have to work all that hard to get our boy Orange Cassidy excited for a comeback, because he's still one of the top baby faces in the company. It's not even that hard. So, I feel like there was the heat generating segment maybe it overstayed its welcome, especially when afterwards, when it hit a second gear. But I was expecting the third, maybe even a fourth gear in this match, which I don't think it really got there. But this was, look, splitting hairs. This was a very good match. Like I said, I think the only reason I feel deflated about it is because I really thought it could have been much more spectacular. I thought it was going to be stronger. And I think I only have myself to blame on it, because this was highly entertaining. There's this fun little sequence where Orange Cassidy walks away from an Os Cutter, just like steps away, does the Samoa Joe thing, right? And then he follows up with a Stun Dog Millionaire and a Michinoku Driver, like just boom, boom. There's a tope by Orange Cassidy, who takes out Aussie Open, who followed out Will Ospreay out to ringside. A diving DDT by Orange Cassidy as well. Will Ospreay hits a running Spanish fly, does his Chiquinandos kick, and then he's on the top rope, and I really this is, I think, the most interesting creative spot of the evening, where where Ospreay is sort of stunned on the top rope. He's sitting on the top turnbuckle, and he's a little stunned, and he's got his back to Orange Cassidy, and Cassidy sort of goes, and he lies down sort of to set him up here. And Ospreay, when he turns around, sees him, so he goes for a moonsault, which Ospreay rolls out of, Orange Cassidy rolls out of the way. Ospreay lands on his feet, then hits another moonsault, then hits a shooting star press, which was just fantastic. Followed up by a beach break. Hidden Blade is ducked. Ospreay picks up Orange Cassidy for a Stormbreaker into a Hurricane Rana. But eventually it's a Hidden Blade that knocks Orange Cassidy out. Stormbreaker puts him away for the win. And after the match, well, the Aussie Open guys and Ospreay started beating down on Orange Cassidy. And Roppongi Vice ran out for the save. They get beaten down. And then one of the most distinctive wrestling themes of all time begins to play. And Katsuyori Shibata, of all fucking people I expected to see on this show, shows up. And look, Kristen's in the chat and she can attest to this. I just completely lost it. We have not seen Shibata wrestle since his Wrestle Kingdom match against Zack Sabre Jr. And a lot of us, well, myself, wondering, where is he? What's going on? Is he, has he been injured again? What's his situation? And just the fact that he walked out and he was ready to go. It's, look, here's the thing. Like, I legitimately started to cry. And Shibata is the wrestler that really got me into New Japan. When people started telling me, you started pointing me towards him and his matches, and he the injury and the near-death experience that he had was just heartbreaking, and it's something that just crushed me because he is such a talented pro wrestler, like a guy from another era who is here performing in a way that is one part very old school, but also while maintaining this freshness and modern feel to him. And look, there's songs like that, there are movies like that, and there are wrestlers like that who just come back and it hits you right in the exact same space, because it just hits you in that perfect spot, because you just love that performer so much, you love that wrestler so much, what he means to you, right? I can't explain it more than that. Some people cried when CM Punk returned, and I completely understand it. But me seeing Katsuyori Shibata walk out, I'm on the verge of tears again. I was so stoked. Now, he does a thing, with Orange Cassidy in the ring where Orange puts his sunglasses on him, it's a bit of a, someone tweeted out, like, there's a buddy cop movie in this pairing, at some point, and which is true. Because it is an oddball pairing that's absolutely fantastic. I want to know what this means. I want to know what this means. And, if anyone is on these media scrums right now, I don't know if they're doing one. But there has to be someone out there, someone in wrestling media who is going to straight up ask Tony Khan, or if Gato's there too, let's ask Gato, what does this mean? Does this mean that Shibata he's coming back full time? That we're going to see him more than one exhibition match a year kind of deal? I need to know. Because I'm going to tell you, we got the big surprise reveal after, which a lot of people had speculated adequately on. But for WarrenHayes, and again, this is personal, I'm not trying to steer you my way, but for WarrenHayes, there was no bigger return, no bigger debut, surprise return, whatever you want to call it. There was nothing bigger at Forbidden Door than Katsuyori Shibata showing up. And he's having choking up just thinking about it. Nothing bigger. And if they're moving to going back to Japan and we're going to have, maybe Shibata Osprey at some point, I'm fine with that too. Like clearly, the blocks haven't been, have all been announced for the G1, and I don't think it would be, if his medical situation is still a little, is still a little worrisome. It's smart not to put Shibata in the G1. I wouldn't want him in the G1. But if this means more Katsuyori Shibata, if this means more of him wrestling, Jesus Christ, let's just go. Let's just do it. You know what I mean? Zack Sabre Jr. lost in his singles match against the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club, one Claudio Castagnoli, the former Cesaro who came into an enormous pop. I think there is only one person on that card who got a bigger reaction than Claudio, and that's saying something. I really think Claudio got the biggest crowd reaction of the night. And he was not messing around. Just runs in, European uppercut on Zach. It turned out to not be Nia Jackson. European uppercut and goes for the neutralizer, but Zack Sabre Jr. kicks out of it. I enjoyed this match tremendously. The crowd was super hot for it, and it was a little there was a little clash of styles, because you were not getting in this match, you were not getting a Matt Classic, right? You weren't getting the Zack Sabre Jr. let's twist ourselves into pretzels type of match that he probably would have got with a guy like Danielson. But what you did get here is a wrestler, a pro wrestling fan's definition of a pro wrestler in Claudio, coming in here to just put on display everything he knows and remind us just how fantastic he is, and how his former place of employment completely fumbled and had no idea what to do with him. Let's not forget that the man formerly known as Cesaro brought the best match out of Roman Reigns of all of 2021 in the WWE. I still maintain that. And he was supposed to get this push, but then, well, he's like, all right. Lets his contract expire. Next thing you know, here he is fighting Zack Sabre Jr. in a really, really great match. And this is one of these matches where Zack has to adapt his style, where he can't just contend on using his noodle arms to try and clasp a guy down. Cesaro is just too strong. This was the story of the match. Cesaro, a complete total package of a professional wrestler. A brawler, a powerhouse, and a mat technician. Just having everything at his fingertips. Getting into a triangle by Zack Sabre Jr., lifting Zack Sabre Jr. up, and you're like, oh, okay, he's going to powerbomb him. But no, he goes to dump him over the top rope to the floor. And he does, but Zack follows, doesn't let go of the hold, I should say, so they both tumble over onto the floor. And Cesaro's like, all right, picks him back up, walks up the steps, holding Junior in that position, and then dumps him back into the ring. And you know Zack Sabre Jr., monster heel heat, trying to avoid the big swing. You knew that, like, every time. You're like, oh, there you go. There's your big time heel right there. He finally gets one, right? But he only does 6 revolutions because his arm hurts, because Zack Sabre Jr. was working at his arm for a better part of the match. Claudio goes for a leg lock. Zack Sabre Jr. reverses it into an ankle bar, but finally, Claudio is able to reverse it into a sharpshooter. Zack keeps getting those submissions in, gets some PKs. Claudio hits a discus lariat and goes back to the Ricola bomb. The Ricola bomb. And gets the win. And as I pointed out, and I mentioned this in the Discord, which you should join, by the way, if you're not already a member. The link is in the description. The Mr. WarrenHayes Discord, for being precise. If you... technically, this match also helped Claudio. It'll take me a while. It's going to take everyone a while. It helped Claudio retire the neutralizer as his finisher, right? Because he did the neutralizer off the bat with Zack Sabre Jr., but Zack kicked out, and he had to put him away with the Ricola bomb. And I think it's great. AK Germany says the eventual gauntlet of matches with Eddie Kingston against his real life enemies will be epic. I don't think there's legitimate bad blood between the two. I think it's all I think it's an act, right? Didn't Eddie say really nice things about Cesaro recently? I think it's an act, that one. Strong match. I really enjoyed it. Might be my match of the night, I believe. Jay White retained the IWGP World Heavyweight title by defeating Adam Cole, Hangman Adam Page, and Kazuchika Okada. Now, I was telling you that Cesaro probably got only one guy got a bigger pop than Claudio at Forbidden Door, and that was Kazuchika Okada. And everyone went nuts. And I cannot sit here and entertain anyone telling me anymore, people don't know who this guy is. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. And this is WWE brainworm that just collects dust in our brains, where WWE insists on living within a bubble where the rest of the wrestling world does not. So we have to stop with this fucking nonsense of coming in with a guy like Kazuchika Okada. Now, I'm not talking about a guy like Master Wato. All right? I can completely buy that people are like, who is this guy? But when you're starting to get on the level of guys like Kazuchika Okada, one of the greatest to ever do it, one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now that is living, breathing, working. We have to stop with this nonsense that North American fans are disconnected, that they don't know what's going on, that we need like weeks of build, of video packages. Oh, I wish we had a sit-down interview. Oh, I wish we had a highlight reel. Trust in the intelligence of the fans. We know what they're talking about. The crowd there, electric. Just went nuts. Imagine if this had been and he was in a four-way. He wasn't main eventing. He wasn't even in a singles match. He was in a four-way. White hot crowd for this one. Early on, Jay White and Adam Cole strike a deal. There's a pescado by Page and a gourd buster by White right on the apron. We've got people fighting up the ramp, and the heels are taking over at this point, right? The heels are making sure that they're firmly in control of this one. Page goes Gage for the moonsault in the ring and eats some fantastic pinpoint anti-air by Adam Cole, who never misses. He never misses. Adam Cole never misses with that super kick on that spot. It's uncanny. I guess playing all that Halo it helps your foot to eye coordination. Okada drop kicks Cole off the turnbuckle. Okada dumps dudes over the barricade and leaps over it into the chairs. White hits a Saito suplex. Cole with a backstabber and an over-the-knee shoulder breaker on Jay White. And that alliance was over. White hits a Uranagi, a bunch of strikes from everyone in a fun little segment. They all collapse. Adam Page with a kick, a rolling elbow on another guy, and a Liger bomb to finish it off. Gato interferes to try and keep him from doing the buckshot lariat, but that doesn't work out. He goes for the buckshot lariat on White. No, White dodges it, reverses into a Blade Runner, but no, Page reverses out of that into a Deadeye. He finally hits the buckshot lariat, which lands on White. We got Okada and Page have a great exchange. Panama Sunrise is blocked by Kazuchika Okada with an air raid crash. Cole super kicks Okada, and Cole gets landslided by Okada. He sets up for the Rainmaker. Now, here's where it gets a little dicey. Here's where it gets a little dicey here. Cole ducks the Rainmaker. Jay White comes in, hits a Blade Runner on Okada. Then he goes to Adam Cole and covers him for the win. And it kind of seemed off because Cole ducked the Rainmaker. Now, clearly, I think the finish here, because the finish came out of nowhere, and you're like, wait, why did he hits his finisher on Okada? Why would he go cover Adam Cole, who, didn't get a finishing move planted on him, right? So what I think the finish was that Adam Cole was supposed to eat the Rainmaker. Jay White comes in, hits the Blade Runner on Okada, gets him out of the way, goes to cover Adam Cole specifically because White and Cole, they were at odds throughout this match, and I think this is going to be this is going to be part of this continuing persistent storyline of the Bullet Club schism that's going on, right? We knew this was happening in Japan. We were told that there were going to be ramifications with the Bullet Club in North America. I'm like, okay, this is probably what was supposed to happen. Jay White going over to cover Adam Cole, who had eaten a Rainmaker. No one gets up from a Rainmaker kind of thing. White was supposed to steal the win regardless. So, I think that's what I think happened. Now, what exactly happened, I don't know. Now, we saw that the cameras pulled away from Adam Cole. Did he aggravate his injury? Was he more hurt? We were talking in the Discord. Did they call an audible? Well, it's kind of weird to call an audible when you have three other guys. Like, clearly there was some form of miscommunication here. There was something that happened. And I don't think it has to do with Adam Cole being injured, but maybe he did re-aggravate an injury. I don't know. Maybe as I'm doing this, there are reports coming out and people are confirming this stuff. I don't know. I do not know. Look, and I'm just scouring over Twitter right now. Couldn't tell you. I'm sure this will all come together over the next few days. But the thing here is that, and this is why I still seriously wonder whether Cole was injured or not, is because they did a whole high pan shot. And in the meantime, there was an angle going on in the ring where the Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly came to the ring. And the Young Bucks were checking on Adam Page, but not Adam Cole. And Kyle O'Reilly was sort of like, hey, dudes, kind of thing. Look, shouldn't you be checking on Adam instead, So there may be a little something here, continuing this, again, this Bullet Club breaking apart, schism, whatever, Civil War, whatever you want to call it. I think this might be a way for it to translate into North American audiences as well. But all this angle here was completely whiffed because they did a wide shot of the arena, because I think they were clearly avoiding Adam Cole, who was probably legitimately injured, as opposed to, when they kept the cameras on Dax Harwood earlier. All in all, I will say, though, that this was a really good match. Probably my second favorite match on the card. I thought this ruled. I thought this was very, very good. And I'm not a fan of multi-man matches for titles, and I'm glad Kevin Kelly pointed it out on commentary, where he said multi-man matches for titles in New Japan is a very, very rare occurrence. I'm like, you're goddamn right it is. It never fucking happens. I'm glad he pointed that out, because it just, look, I still maintain, like I was talking about on the podcast earlier this week when I was previewing the show, there is no reason that we did not get Kazuchika Okada and Adam Page in a singles match, and Jay White and Adam Cole in a singles match. There was enough heat built up between White and Cole to justify the match, and Okada versus Page is just a natural pairing. Natural. And I still don't understand why we didn't get it. And you know what? When Page and Okada had their exchange in the ring, it was, for lack of a better word, pardon the pun, it was dynamite. I was looking at it, it was like, there is no one here who could tell me that this would not be a great match. There's no one who could tell me. And I'll reiterate what I said. Kazuchika Okada, if Adam Page absolutely had to lose to Okada, that's not a big deal. There's a difference between Adam Page losing to one of the absolute best wrestlers in the world, a guy who is recognized as a top guy, as a draw, as a legitimate draw, and a top-tier, world-class talent. There's a difference to losing to a guy like that than losing to Aaron Solo. No disrespect. That's different. And Jay White versus Adam Cole. Adam Cole, same thing. If he absolutely had to lose to Jay White because, Jay White's not dropping the IWGP title, well, that's fine. Adam Cole is fine. And you know what? Imagine if Adam Page had defeated Kazuchika Okada. Imagine that. Just saying. It's still nonsense to me. There's still a lot of nonsense on this card, but I'll save my final thoughts for the whole show in just a second, because we are going to be talking about Jon Moxley, who became the interim AEW World Champion. by defeating the ace of the universe, Hiroshi Tanahashi, which I thought was a very good. I thought it was a very good main event, wrestled by two guys who played, who had a fantastic brawl, just a fantastic brawl between the two, in a good old fashioned style, which I really enjoyed. Like, there was no nonsense. Just two guys beating each other up. I really liked it. And Mox even pulling out the clover leaf at some point. Tana hits the somersault senton. He skins the cat but gets dumped to the floor by Mox. They fight on the floor. Mox drives Tanahashi through a table, which was great. Some kicks by Jon Moxley. Tana catches one of the kicks, hits a dragon screw. But Mox reverses that into a Jujikatami, which was great. Mox hits the floor and he blades. I don't know on what he landed. I don't know. Like, he wasn't hit with a chair or a foreign object, or what did they used to call it in WCW? An international object? Wasn't that what they used to call it? Ace is high by Tana to the floor, which was great. Twist and shouts by Tana back in the ring. German suplex by Mox. He hits a paradigm shift. Anvil hammer blows. Headbutt by Tanahashi, who hits a Kamigoye. I don't know why. And no one seemed to pick up on it. Which is Kota Ibushi's move. Tanahashi hits an ace is high and a high fly flow, and I bit, and I'm like, there we go. We're done. Not an Atlantic object, no. John kicks out of the high fly flow right into the bulldog choke. Tanahashi's able to fight out of it. And I really like this. I really like the third act of this match because it was really attrition. It was guys, they were just pounding on each other. Moxley goes for a lariat, covers. Tanahashi kicks out at one. Get the hammer and anvil elbows. The bulldog choke. And the audience is on their feet, chanting for Tanahashi. When Mox locks in the second bulldog choke towards the end, people are booing. They get up on their feet and they start chanting for Tanahashi. Tanahashi gets back up to his feet. He's struggling, but Moxley hits and they call it the Death Rider, not the high angle paradigm shift. They call it the Death Rider, which is the New Japan name for the paradigm shift. Mox gets it done. I enjoyed this match. I really did. Strong, well wrestled, made a lot of sense. I don't think it was as exciting as some other offerings that we had on the card, but I think this was a very, very solid main event to wrap things up. And after the match, then we get the Jericho Appreciation Society that come out to beat up on Moxley and brings Claudio back out to finally save the day for everyone who's going to be involved in the Blood and Guts match, which is what they were setting up for, which is they were running this angle for that. I don't know if I would have run that angle because I was at a point where I'm like, because there had been rumors all day about Kenny Omega showing up. I think Kenny Omega might show up, and I'm like, so when the heels start running in to beat up on them, and I'm like, so we got one more last reveal. We have the Steve Jobs, oh, one more thing moment coming up. And I was like, do you want to bet? Kenny shows up. But no, he didn't. It was Claudio. Like, it all made sense. Don't get me wrong. But as I was looking at all this, I was like, man, it's a little messy. It's a little too much. And I feel like it distracted from the feeling of conclusion that we just got a crossover show. Now it's like, all right, now it's all back to AEW, right? Where this show, and this is where my thoughts start to wrap up about the entire thing, where this show worked because it was a celebration of two top promotions that do have a lot of crossover fandom. All these people come together to put on a big crossover show like we haven't seen the likes of in North America, the United States, for a fucking long time. You know? So that's what the exciting part of it was. Despite the fact that the card lacked a lot of, as I like to say, sex appeal, where you didn't have like that big name dream match, right? That CM Punk versus Okada match, or that CM Punk Tanahashi match. I mean, Mox versus Tanahashi is right up there. Don't get me wrong. But like there's something different about CM Punk and Kazuchika Okada going at it, right? We were everything that was packed together were multi-man matches, easy way outs, as I talked about on the podcast, where Gedo and Tony Khan, I found, took a lot of shortcuts to put this card together instead of sitting down and maybe making some tough decisions. Maybe going like, maybe we could have these singles matches, but then one guy's, I don't want my guy to lose. And because there was room for more singles matches. There was room for less multi-man matches. There was a lot, and I also understand that there was an injury bug that just plagued us to the very end, right to the day before when fucking Tomohiro Ishii can't make it. You're like, Jesus, this card is cursed. It's literally the Macbeth of wrestling shows. There was so much stuff going on as far as injuries go that you're kind of like, well, I understand that they may do with the best of what they had. And I get that. But it seems to me like when you're like, okay, well, we have Tanahashi Moxley that we can run, and that's great. And yes, you wanted to run Andrade versus Ospreay, and you couldn't do it because, fuck the Mexican promotions and their eternal war with each other, which is stupid. There's and even then and there, Tony Khan or Gedo could have just put their foot down and be like, no, look, fuck you guys. What kind of, we have the power in this market here. This is us. Fuck you and your bullshit. We have no use for it, right? They honestly could have done that too. Like I said, a lot of shortcuts, a lot of easy way outs on this card. And as I said, this is not me taking a victory lap, because I'm definitely not the only one who said it, but I did mention it on the podcast. There was no way this show was going to suck. And this show did not suck. This was a very, very entertaining 4+ hours of pro wrestling it didn't even feel like a 4-hour show. At some point, Kristen is like, I think there's only 3 matches left. And I'm like, wait, no, that can't be. Then we go down the card and like, yeah, there's only 3 matches left. And I'm like, holy shit, it just flew by. And that's a good sign. It means it was entertaining. It means it was good. It means it was well put together. I don't regret watching the show on any level. And I'm definitely not bitching that, it could have been so much better if we... No, this was the end product of this crossover card. So entertaining that you can only consider it a success. I think this was better than Double or Nothing. Do I think it was better than... All Out 2021? No. Do I think it was better than Revolution this year. No, I thought Revolution this year was a fantastic card, but I definitely think it was better than Double or Nothing. I feel like I got a lot more of my money's worth in this show. I thought it was great. And I saw a lot of interactions that you don't expect to see. It's nonetheless felt important, but I agree with anyone who felt disappointed with the make of the card because it lacked a lot of sex appeal. It lacked the big names. It lacked the big matches. I can absolutely get behind that. That is 100% that's 100% a truth. I'm completely okay with that. But we'll see if they want. But look, I'll tell you, if they want to make this a yearly thing, which is what Tony sort of indicated he wanted to do, wants to make this a yearly thing, I can promise you that they have learned from the mistakes this year and that they're probably going to start building this up earlier and probably more build from the New Japan side. And we're going to get a big time match. And here's my final thought. Moxley won. I don't think there was any surprise. But I think that Tanahashi winning the belt would have been the more fun. Would have been more fun. Because then you have Hiroshi Tanahashi in Japan going through the G1, carrying the interim AEW World title. And then at some point he has to come back and fight CM Punk, right? Or CM Punk has to go there to fight him. Whatever. I think that would have been the more fun outcome. Congratulations to Jon Moxley. And honestly, it's a good way to go about it. It's really a good way to go about it. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you strap it on one of the actual legitimate, absolute top guys, not only in your promotion, but in the business, in the industry right now? Absolutely. As long as this injury bug gets squashed, I'll be happy. But yeah, kind of like AK Germany says, I really would have preferred a better send-off to the collaboration here than just like, oh, blood and guts. Did I say I had a final thought? Because this is my real final thought. Commentary tonight. What a Excalibur, Taz, Kevin Kelly. What a table. How great were these three together? And the minute they brought JR back, everything slowed down. Everything got heavy-handed. Everything started to get everything just began to feel heavy. And JR spends too much time screaming at the refs. Kevin Kelly always, of course JR, doesn't watch the New Japan product. Hell, he barely watches his own product. So of course, when we see those of us who watch New Japan more regularly, when we see Zack Sabre Jr. stretching out the 5 counts, right? And JR's going, Kevin Kelly is gently bringing him back and going, hey, no, hang on a second, wait a second. Zack Sabre Jr., this is usually what he does, he stretches the limits of... And then JR grumbles. But what a great commentary table Excalibur, Taz, and Kevin Kelly were. Very glad Kevin Kelly got the spot here. Congratulations. That was good. AK Germany says, personally, I have to admit I'm not too familiar with Shibata, but I still got he's a huge deal. He's a tremendous... He's a huge deal. And he's a guy that you just... It's about his matches. You go back and you watch his matches. His war with Ishii, his war with Okada. Like this guy is special. Like he is a special talent that was taken away. That was taken away just too soon. And the prospect of him wrestling regularly again just blows my mind, makes me happy, fills me with joy. There you go. And on that note, we're going to wrap up these post-show reactions. I want to thank everyone for popping in, joining me tonight. If you're still here and you can give it a like, that'd be great. If you're watching this on demand, well, leave a comment. Let's talk about it as well. Talk about the show. That'll be all the more fantastic. But for now, it is time for all of us to go get some well-deserved shut-eye. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone. And we'll see you next time.